All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming to our How to Work with Bloggers presentation. My name is Matt Gibson. I'm the president-elect of the Professional Travel Bloggers Association. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Professional Travel Bloggers Association, we are a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping industry learn how to use blogging and social media and work with bloggers to improve their online presence and basically just make more money. We're trying to really improve the professionalism and professional image of travel blogging. So we have 300 members. They all follow or they have signed on to a certain code of ethics. They have reached a certain standard of blogging with their blogs. And that's sort of our first step in helping industry to find bloggers that are good to work with, that are professional. And so now today we're going to talk about a few ways that you can work with bloggers to help improve your business, to help get more exposure, to help drive sales, to help improve your SEO, do all those sorts of things. My co-presenters here, we have Samantha Dancy of Footsteps Communications, she does local PR and works with bloggers here in Dubai. And Shane Dallas, the travel camel, who you've all probably seen talk before. He's a professional speaker, professional travel blogger who talks about social media all over the world, and one of our favorite PTBA members. So, if you would like to download this presentation, if you would like the slides and some notes about the slides, you will find them at this address to download. They're not up yet. I'll be uploading them this evening. Excellent. I like to see that. I love that. Means you're all going to my website. If you have questions today, you can tweet them to hashtag PTBA at ATM. If you tweet your questions with that hashtag, you can just tweet while I'm up here talking and we're talking. That way, at the end, we can address your questions if we have some extra time. We'll also just take some questions from the audience. And if we don't have time to get to your questions, we will tweet answers to you later, or we can get in touch so we can meet and answer your questions in person later. So, what is a professional travel blogger? This is something that Shane is very passionate about educating people about, especially here in the Middle East, because he gets asked that question a lot. So Shane is going to do this part of the presentation and talk a little bit about what professional travel bloggers do.
Good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? For those who've seen me speak, I'm Shane Dallas, the Travel Camel. And the reason I'm talking about this is that I spoke at the 2015 Middle East Food and Travel Bloggers Conference about 6 weeks ago, and it was hosted by Dubai Tourism. And one of the big things that came, and they knew I was speaking here, and I said to them, what is the message I can give to industry people in the Middle East? And this is what they wanted me to tell you. It's this sort of thing, because there is a difference between what is a professional travel blogger or what is a travel blogger. Most people say, well, what do you do? And this is even people in the travel industry. I'm walking around today and people say, what do you do? This is what a professional travel blogger is. The first two definitions are from the current president of the Professional Travel Bloggers Association, which is Lawrence Noah. On his website, he says, what's a professional blogger? This is his first one. You have an income associated with your blog. And that doesn't mean you actually make money from the blog itself, but it's money associated with the blog. Your second one is that you post content regularly. And for me, my content actually comes mostly through my social media. The next one is the online presence is their main presence. I have other presences. I do a lot of speaking. As Matt said, I speak around the world. I do radio work. Just after this, I'm off to Dubai again to do the Travel Camels overview of ATM Dubai, which is going to be very positive because it's such a great event. And so I have different presence, but most people know me from online. We are known as a brand. People know me as a brand. People know me as the Travel Camel. People know me because of the name. People know me because of this hat. I only wore this hat because I like the hat. And now I cannot go to a conference without wearing it because no one knows who I am. So now my hat is the brand. So people know me personally as a brand, and with professional travel bloggers, you are known as the brand. And travel is their specialization, which is going to lead me to the next one, which is not a professional travel blogger. And this is the first one. In the Middle East, in the MENA region, I'd say 99% of bloggers are food or fashion. I don't talk about food unless there's a particularly good meal I had in Malaysia, or it's a wonderful meal I had in Bucharest. I talk about travel. Travel is my focus. That is all I talk about. I don't happen to combine travel with fashion or food. There are some bloggers that do have that specialty, that do combine travel with food, and there's travel with exercise. In the case of some of the a blogger in Malaysia, they do combine it. But overall, we are travel bloggers. That is all we talk about. It is possible to combine it, and I have to say, there are professional food bloggers. So I'm not saying that the only professional bloggers are travel bloggers. There are professional food bloggers, and they are here in the Middle East. There's a few names that come to mind here that are very, very good. But for a professional travel blogger, travel is their main thing. Travel is the vehicle with what they write with. So it's really important. So when people say you're a travel blogger, what else do you do? No, travel. This is all I do. It's just travel. I love travel. I live for travel, and that's all I blog about. Now, we're not travel writers and journalists. Now, the big difference, I know quite a few travel writers. The big difference for this is I'm not saying that travel writers are better or worse than us. Okay, travel journalists, we do different things. The big advantage that travel writers have is they have an external editorial process. I have no one to edit my work. Well, I can get maybe some people to edit my work, but it's not a formalized structure. There's no formality to it. Travel writers and journalists have a formal structure. Travel journalists will come to something like this and they'll talk about these are the industry trends because they're a journalist. A travel writer will give a story, a narrative. So they will say their experience of being in Dubai, the experience of the buzz of being in the old part of Dubai, of crossing Dubai Creek, and they give an experience, a journey through their writing. So that's the difference between travel journalists and travel writers. Now, travel bloggers can use either of these two methods. But the one thing that differs with us is that our content is immediate. If you're hosting us, any of the travel bloggers here, if you're hosting us, there is one thing you need to give us. You need to give us Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is the oxygen of travel bloggers. I've been on media trips and I'm the only travel blogger. And when there's a lunch session, the travel writers and that are having lunch. I'm running around saying, where's the Wi-Fi? Where's the Wi-Fi? Because they expect me, my readers expect me to tweet and put Facebook now, immediately. That's the difference. The content is immediate. With travel writers, the content appears after and may last longer afterwards. But for travel bloggers, it's the immediacy that makes us the key difference. And a hobby blogger. Now, I have just been out there on the floor speaking to a certain hotel group, which I won't name, who said they get a little bit tired of people approaching them who all they want is something for free. They say that a lot of people are just hobby bloggers, that's not their full-time profession, and they're just using the travel or food blogger in this region tag just so they can get free meals or free travel. Professional travel bloggers, we don't want free. We're not interested in free. Free is nice, but free doesn't pay our rent, it doesn't pay our meals. We want a business relationship. We carry on a business. This is a business relationship. And that is the big difference. So when you're dealing with a blogger, find out, is this something you're really serious about, or is this something just on the side? It does make a difference when someone puts a little bit of heart and a bit of time into it. Now, the last bit here is, I'm going to put all these up at once so you can read them. This is what professional bloggers do now. The general trend with travel bloggers, and I told this to the Middle East Travel Bloggers Conference, I told them that travel bloggers don't make their money from their blogs. We make money from other services. So we have background here. You're a travel writer as a background, travel writer. You're PR as a background. I'm a public speaker as a background and a photographer. I bring these skills in. We all bring our skills in from our previous careers into what we're doing now. So for travel bloggers, we provide offline, everything you can see there, the expertise I know a lot of Malaysian bloggers do website design. Photography is something that I really get noticed for. My photography is very strong. I've done it since I was 8 years old, and that's a long time ago. But I've had a camera since I was a little boy, and I know how to use a camera. Training public speaking, most of my work now is public speaking. I probably give, and this would be a safe bet, more public speeches and keynote speeches as a travel blogger than any other travel blogger in the world. It would be a fairly safe assumption because I'm constantly doing it. And a few bloggers now are starting to host and organize tours. I know people have approached me from out there, said, would you like to bring people with you? Would you like to bring people to our country or to our resort? Because people trust us as a brand. And especially for me, where people trust me to take them on the road less traveled, which is my mantra, something like that is attractive because people will trust me to bring them to Africa when they've never been to Africa, because they know I'm not going to lead them into danger. So you see bloggers, and there's Jodie Ettenberg, who's a member of your association, who does food travel blogs. And she takes people, does food tours. So she does food tours around Vietnam. Gary Arndt, who is with G Adventures, for example, he hosts the G Adventures tour, a photography tour of the Galapagos, and he's a travel blogger. So travel bloggers are now getting more and more into that space and partnering with people here or doing it independently. So when you see travel bloggers, we just don't write and we don't just photograph. We do a lot more than that now, and we provide a lot more services for people in this room. And I have finished with that now, but I'm going to wind up here. This is the last chance I speak for this whole conference. The reason these sessions have worked so well, I have two wonderful co-presenters with me. I have Matt and Samantha, and we organised this. We were on 3 different continents. I was in Europe, Matt was in North America, and Sam was right here in Dubai, and we managed to put all this together thanks to their professionalism. And for everyone who's been attending these, people who have mentioned me in their tweets, who've sent me emails, and I promise I will respond to you, or who've nodding to me here or smiling, I value all of that so very much as a speaker. That just means so much to me. And so thank you so much. This is my last speaking gig. I'll be here, of course, but I'll be a passive observer. And thank you again, and I hand you back to Matt.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks, Shane. Now, the next part of our presentation is about why blogging. So we're going to discuss a little bit about 2 parts of blogging. There's 2 ways to work with bloggers. One is to create a blog for your own business's website to help generate leads and drive sales. Second one is to work with travel bloggers like myself, like Shane, like Sam, to help build awareness of your business, to drive traffic to your website where you can turn that traffic into leads. To talk about that part is Sam Dancy, who is your local expert in working with bloggers.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. As the guys have introduced me already, I do have a travel blog myself. As Shane said, I would love to make that all that I do 24/7 is travel and write, but I do need to put food on the table, so I use my knowledge in PR and social media to consult at the same time. So talking about why blogging, why you as a company would want to engage with bloggers. What is it about bloggers? You have travel writers, you have people, your PR machine is working well, you're in the press. What is it that bloggers bring to the table? Why should you be looking at ways to work with them? Well, for one, the analytics that are available to you, you're able to analyze, you're able to analyze the results of people that are coming to your page, you're able to analyze the types of people that you have. You have control over the message, and I say that in kind of inverted commas, because ultimately a blogger will write about an experience if it's a good experience. Generally, if it's a negative experience, and depending on your relationship, that will affect whether it's written about or not. I recently went on a trip and had a very negative experience. It was completely hosted, but I've chosen not to write, not to mention the person, or I wrote a little, but I didn't mention the brand, rather than writing something negative, out of respect for the relationship. But I couldn't go forward and write something positive and recommend to my readers. But otherwise, so long as you're confident in your product, you're confident in what you have, which hopefully you all are, then you can pretty much, with the relationship, control the message that's put out there. Consumer trust. We all know about the benefits of peer marketing and word-of-mouth relationships, word-of-mouth messages. People have a lot more faith in blogs than they do necessarily in corporate websites, for example, in some of the advertorials and things like that. I was just talking to a company earlier this morning who produce travel guides, and whilst they've got sponsored guides from hotels, for example, which are popular, the blogger content is much more popular. And we all know when you see something that's written by a hotel group that obviously it's going to be in favour of that hotel group, and we're all looking for something a bit more open. Most importantly, it works. We've got plenty of statistics here to show the support really that blogging, working with bloggers will have for your business. As you can see, 72% of people are willing to change their destination choice based on the opinion of friends. And that's quite a shocking statistic, really. It's one thing to have a look around for inspiration, but quite another to think, I've kind of made my mind up about where I want to go, but actually somebody's told me something bad, or they've told me something good about somewhere else, and I'm going to change my mind. I've never been, I've got no knowledge, I just am going to go with what they recommend to me. And actually, 92% of social media users are influenced by travel blogs as well. So if you think about the amount of people that are using social media networks now, that's a very, very high number. In terms of researching online, don't think that this is all related to leisure business. I get a lot with what I do of people asking about the difference between B2B and B2C communications. You know, the idea that social media and blogging and things can only be used for more B2C brands. Not true. B2B, there's a huge potential as well. For example, using various social networks and social groups or through certain blogs, niche blogs, or business blogs. You as a company using a blog have so much potential for what you can do. 56% of travellers say they find inspiration for trips on the internet. I actually would have thought that would be a bit higher, to be honest. But that's over half of people out there are looking for their inspiration online. Now, whether that, again, is coming from simply typing into Google and seeing what comes up, or whether it's from looking at social networks or recommendations from others. Obviously, with blogging, Matt's going to go into more detail about that. That will help your SEO in terms of, for those who aren't familiar, search engine optimization, how you get found on Google. So when I'm thinking of going to Istanbul this weekend, which I am, and I type into Google Istanbul 2015, nice restaurants or traditional food or whatever I happen to type in, obviously you want to be in the top of those lists. So which online sources are inspiring people to think about their trips? These are the personal or leisure trips. 83% there on social networking, 61% search engines. So as I was just discussing there, search engines and going onto Google is very popular, but actually the social networking again ranks higher. And that is because that's the word of mouth. The more chance there is of seeing someone you know or getting a feeling for that person. If you're on a social network, you get a bit of feeling for that person. I don't just want to look online. I could find a list of different websites, for example, or travel guides that would recommend to me the best restaurants to go to. What I would like is to find websites, so for example, blogs, that I can click on and I can have a look at the author, I can look at the other posts they've written, and I can say, okay, this is someone who likes the kind of things that I like to do. Because we've all got different interests and choices that we want to make. Are you more into cultural travel, adventure travel? Are you on your own? Do you want to go somewhere romantic? Do you want to go somewhere quiet? Do you want to avoid romance? Whatever you're looking for, you can find somebody with the same style and same interests, and you really get that through a blog and social networks because you get to know the author and what their preferences are. So in terms of researching online before making the decision, again, we had this already. 65% leisure and 69% business travellers. So again, business travellers are crucial. You're pushed for time, you're coming to Dubai for ATM, you just want to find a nice hotel, or where can I go near to the trade centre for a nice dinner? You're probably going to look online to find those details. In terms of the types of content then, so when you're going online, some of the examples I've been given about what the consumers are looking for when they're coming to find you, and they're looking through blogs, they're not lovely as it is, and if I had all the time in the world, there are some blogs that I would love to just sit and read because I like reading them. I like reading anyway. I'm going to sit around at home on the weekend and read those blogs. But ideally, most people, when you're on the internet, you're doing it for several things. You're either wanting to be inspired, so you want to go, you know the area you want to go to, but you're not sure exactly perhaps which hotels or which airline or which experience you want to have, or you're looking to make a trip at winter time and you want to see the snow, but you don't know where to go. You want to take a trip in a hot air balloon. Which countries can you do that in? So you go online, you look for inspiration, you see these amazing graphics and videos and things that inspire you and make you want to be in that place and experiencing the same. The other thing we, as travelers, go online for is not just to be inspired, but is also to get information. So those were some of the examples I was giving earlier where you're saying, I want to know what restaurants are nearby. I want to know what the type of food is. I want to know if there's anything close to the airport. Example after example of that. And then the third really is the recommendations. So once you've been inspired, you know where you want to go, you know the kind of activities that you want to do, you've looked for more information, you know that this stuff is available, what times it's open, what time of year, and costs and things like that. Then you want really the recommendations. I want to know for sure, it's all very well reading about it, I want to know who's done it, how well they thought about it, would they recommend something else, have they got a little tip for me, a little bit of advice, if they can tell me a little road to take to avoid the traffic coming into the trade centre in the mornings, or if they can tell me this restaurant's fantastic, but actually order this extra, or ask to speak to this person when you go to this particular shop, and you'll get a much better experience. So I'm looking for those recommendations as well. And these are all things that blogging will provide and working with bloggers provides. So the information, the inspiration, and the recommendations are all found on blogs and social media. I think I'm going to hand over to Matt now to carry on with the rest of the presentation. He put all the hard work into this, so really the credit goes to Matt here.
Thank you, Samantha. All right. So now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how you use a blog on your website to affect your bottom line and how you work with bloggers to make more money, because that's why you're here, right? You want to make more money? I think we all want to make more money. I do. Okay. So generally speaking, blogging and social media is what we use to inspire travelers to visit your destination. If that's what you're selling, this is how you do it. You inspire them through pictures, through video, through stories that bloggers are telling. We are also getting in front of the travelers who are looking for information. These are the ones who've already chosen their destination. Now they're trying to figure out what to do when they get there, what hotel to stay at, what restaurants to go to, what tours they're going to take. We're giving them that information. Hopefully that information includes your business. Then we are giving recommendations, personal recommendations. That's why people like bloggers. They trust us because we are travel professionals. Many of us travel 365 days a year. We know what's good and what's bad, and people trust our opinions, and that's why they trust our recommendations. So we can use that to help your business by getting those recommendations out on the blogs that people are reading. Now, in the Middle East, you've got a unique situation. Asia, not so much. The Middle East and Africa are probably the two places in the world that are the farthest behind in working with bloggers and social media to market their businesses. For you, that's fantastic. Everyone in this room has a huge advantage over everybody else. We call it the early adopter advantage. First person to start is usually the first person to win. It gives you a big head start on everyone else. If you're the first person to start blogging correctly or working with bloggers, you have an enormous advantage over everyone else. Even who is widely known to be the biggest travel blogger in the world right now, Gary Arndt, ask him any day what he attributes most of his success to, and he is a very smart man. He's really good at strategy, but he'll always tell you probably the biggest factor was, I was the first one to start. And that's what you all have in this room. I suggest you take advantage of it. If you take anything away from this session, it's that you can start and get ahead of everyone else. So how it's done. These are the ways you can work with bloggers for your website in order to promote it. You can have them create content for you. That's what we do. We're professionals at it, and we know what people like. A lot of people try to do this in-house once they've started a travel blog. I recommend working with a travel blogger who does this professionally to create content for your site. whether that's photos of your hotel to put up on your website, whether it's blog posts, whether it's videos. Travel bloggers do it very well, and they know what travelers are looking for. Sponsored activities, sending bloggers to do whatever it is that you are selling so that they can write about it on their blogs. Sometimes they'll do that just for the free thing that you are selling. Sometimes they will ask you to pay them for their time that it takes them to write about your activity. That's between you and the blogger. But this is another way to get those recommendations that we talked about out there on the internet so that your message is coming through, so that people are seeing somebody recommending your service as something that they enjoyed. Brand ambassadorship. This is very similar to the way, say, Kobe Bryant would work with Nike. This is usually done by larger brands. Many have done it. Expedia does it. G-Adventures does it. Where they have bloggers that serve as ambassadors for their brands. They're sort of like travel celebrities representing a brand. Spokesperson, also very similar, where a blogger will represent a brand at conferences like this and mention that brand. They will help to promote that brand within the industry and through their blog and online. And social media promotions. Many companies are out there now hiring bloggers to tweet about their products, to post Facebook posts about their products, just to help build that general awareness on social media. Like we mentioned, is where people are finding their inspiration, they're looking for recommendations, and they're making purchase decisions about your product. They are hiring us to go out there because we have large followings and help to influence those decisions at key purchasing times in the buying cycle. So, like I said before, there are two main ways to work with bloggers and use blogging. One is on your website with your own blog. The other way is off your website, working with bloggers to put content on their blogs. These are two very different things. They work best when you're doing both of them together for various reasons. So first, we're going to talk about your blog on your website. Who here has a website, first of all? All right. Who here is doing B2C? Who here has a blog? Who here is using the blog? All right. Good. This is all about how you're going to use that blog and work with professional blogger to drive sales, generate leads. This is a quote from Maritu Tuahelbold of Cape Town Tourism, and she's now a destination marketing expert in Cape Town. South Africa has done some excellent work with bloggers and with their online marketing, especially in recent years. She feels very strongly about using your own platform, not to promote your brand necessarily. You're not going out there and telling people, oh, my brand is amazing, oh, look, we got a new president, or anything like that. You're creating a platform where people can share genuine experiences, so that when a reader comes, a reader shows up at a website for a DMO or for a hotel and reads their blog, they are going to expect that it's only going to be positive. And they're not going to trust it that much. But that doesn't mean you can't make it feel authentic. And you do that by not just pushing your message out there, hitting people in the face with our hotel rooms are beautiful. You create a platform where people can share their own experiences and explain why they liked it in a way that sounds genuine. People do trust that, and it works very well. So the benefits of working with your own blog, having your own blog on your site. Number one, top benefit that's going to increase sales for you tomorrow is appearing at number one on Google for the search term for whatever it is you're selling. And the best way to improve your SEO is by having your own blog. There are a lot of technical reasons for this, which I can't go into now because that would be an entire another session. If you want to learn later, you just send me an email, I will explain it. But the number one best way to improve your SEO is through a blog. For that reason, all of the biggest OTAs out there are dumping tons of money into their blogs, which we'll discuss in a little bit. They are spending so much money on their blogs. Visibility. This, we all understand, is general, just like advertising, just like PR. You want more visibility for your brand, and your blog is going to get it because it's going to bring people in with interesting content, and they're going to interact with your brand on your website and increase your visibility online. Trust. A blog is a wonderful way to make people trust your brand. And people are inherently a little bit distrustful of corporate content and brands. A blog is a place where you can offer people help. You can give your brand a personality, and you can make it a person that they like and a person that they trust. And the best brands do that really well. If you think about your brand as a person, a blog is how that person speaks to their customers. So everyone's familiar with, say, Red Bull. We all heard of Red Bull. We may have seen their social media marketing once or twice, like the guy in outer space jumping out of outer space. That is Red Bull's personality. They have a distinct personality, and they speak that way through their blog, through magazines, through their social media, everywhere. So you kind of know who that brand is. That's what you want to do with a blog. Lead generation. This one is key. This is one of the best ways to use a blog. Best leads you can have. Who here has an email list for marketing to their customers? Excellent. Best marketing tool out there. Email, by far, over social media, over blogging, over anything, is the best tool you will have. And a blog is how you capture email addresses. You bring people in with the blog, and when you get them there, you convert them into an email subscriber. Then you have a direct channel to their inbox. When it's buying time, you can keep your brand at the front of their minds. You can keep interacting with them, and then when they are ready to buy, you will be the person that they know about. This is key. This is one of the best ways to use your blog. Direct sales. People will come to your blog, and they will move from your blog into the website and purchase sometimes. This differs for different products at different price points. But generally speaking, you can just bring people in with your blog. They will convert into customers sometimes. Ownership. You hire a PR firm, you do not own the PR that they create for you. You pay a blogger off-site to promote you. You do not own that content. You own your own blog, though, and you own all of the content on it, and that is hugely valuable for a number of reasons. You have complete control over that content and complete control over that message. It's all within your domain, so you can change it, take it down, rearrange it at any time to suit your needs. And like I said, ownership means control. You have control over everything on that blog. So, 2 examples I'm going to give you of blogs that are earning their companies a lot of money. Expedia Viewfinder. Everyone here is familiar with Expedia, I assume. By a long shot, probably the biggest OTA in the world, I would suspect. I know I worked for the second biggest OTA in Canada for quite a while. Expedia was the #1 OTA in Canada. We were #2, but we were at #2 by a long, long, long ways down. And a lot of the reason why we could never catch up to Expedia was because they had done such an excellent job of using their blog to market their brand and to improve their SEO that we just couldn't compete with it. They had spent so much money, we couldn't do anything about it. So the Expedia Viewfinder. Much of our most powerful work comes from partnering with travel bloggers. It's where travelers are turning to travel bloggers more and more when they are getting inspired and planning trips. This is Expedia's Worldwide Director of Public Relations. She knows what she's talking about. They are doing this exceptionally well. G Adventures Looptail. Who here is familiar with G Adventures? Anyone? It's very well known in North America, maybe not so much over here. Huge success story. It's an enormous success story in the OTA, tour operator, tour selling space. It's a Canadian company who came out of nowhere and within about 5 years dominated most of the tour sales, I think, in North America. It was partly to do with the way the company was managed. The owner wrote a book about it that went to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. It also had to do with they were one of the first companies to work with bloggers. They created the Looptail blog. That blog employed 5 bloggers before anyone else was hiring bloggers. Like I've said again, this is the early adopter advantage. They did it first, and now they are enormous. So this is what G Adventures had to say. While these channels provide an opportunity to communicate to people who already subscribe to our brand, they also serve as a window to the world to inspire those who have never considered traveling, who can't presently afford to travel, or who are too young to travel, but one day might. We're talking about creating a relationship with people that's ongoing. You know that people only book travel once a year, twice a year. We all know that. But we market to them year-round so that when they are ready to book, they're thinking about you. And that is the key. Why you need an experienced blogger to run your travel blog. Again, one thing that a lot of companies do is they will just try to do it in-house and try to learn it as they go. This has worked before. It has worked. It works a lot better if you hire a professional. They have technical knowledge. WordPress in itself is one system of software used to run blogs. It's the most common one. It's the one that everybody uses. And a professional blogger knows that system very well. They know its flaws. They know its strengths. They know what plugins work with it, what add-ons to put into it. And they already have this knowledge for you. It's right there ready. They have a social following that can kickstart your blog. They can bring their followers to your blog, which is part of why I was hired by that OTA in Canada in the first place. They wanted a Canadian blogger who had Canadian followers so that those followers would come over to the blog. And then I went out and I hired 5 other Canadian bloggers to write for us so that their followers would come and read those stories on our blog by the bloggers that they liked. Blogging, cultural understanding, and connection. Travel bloggers are a unique type of person, to say the least. They travel a lot. They're very artistic. They're creative. They're driven. They're motivated. They're entrepreneurial. And they have certain needs and certain expectations in a relationship with an industry partner. A blogger understands those and is able to leverage a blogger to get the most out of them better than anyone else can because they understand how to talk to them and how to deal with them, how to encourage them, how to motivate them. And it's really something that you have to be a blogger to understand. So, we have G Adventures, we have Expedia, 2 of the most successful bloggers in the world, run by 2 bloggers. They were travel bloggers first. This is Andrew Hickey of the Brooklyn Nomad, who was the one who built G Adventures blog. He's no longer there. Spencer Spellman, the traveling philosopher, also travel blogger before he took over at Expedia and built it up into what it is today. You should hire a professional travel blogger if you can afford to and if you're very serious about building a travel blog for your brand. Now, using travel bloggers off of a website, off of your site, to post things on their website and their social media to drive traffic to you. This is the other way we work with professional bloggers. This is Christy Sharman of Webfluential. In the past 8 months, paid over 2 million rand to South African influencers to execute over 150 campaigns across Africa. She feels that influencer marketing is not the future anymore. It's not something people just talk about and, you know, those crazy forward-thinking people are trying out. It's now becoming a standard. It's just something that people are doing, and it's going to be done more and more and more. The benefits of working with travel bloggers to write about your brand on their blogs. Number 1 value, again, SEO. The number of mentions of your brand off your website, the links coming to your brand, the social mentions of your brand, the Facebook shares of your brand. Those are all things that improve your SEO, that push your search to #1 when people are searching for a product to buy. And hopefully that's yours that they're going to click on. Visibility, again, just the more times your brand is out there on the internet, on these blogs as well as on your blog, is creating more visibility for your brand. And that is just generally something that you need. Trust. People trust these bloggers. They are looking to them for recommendations. They're looking for which experiences that blogger enjoyed. The more times you're going to have your brand represented on these blogs, the more people are going to see these kinds of recommendations and stories about experiences. And that translates into people changing their purchase decisions to choose you. Lead generation. Again, this working with bloggers can be used to help grow your own email list and your social following. And those are leads. Those are potential customers that you now have that you can market directly to. That's what we're talking about when we talk about generating leads. And of course, sales. There's a great case study recently. Deb and Dave of the Planet D, which is one of the better known travel blogs out there. They're an adventure travel couple. They did an expedition to Antarctica with Quark Adventures. They did a cruise to Antarctica. They jumped in the icy water. They saw the penguins, all these sorts of things. Afterwards, they wrote about it on their blog. They added a coupon code that was unique to their blog to the end. Quark Expeditions, I believe, don't quote me, sold out their next tour very quickly. Most of the sales came from that coupon code, which was only found on the Planet D's website. That was a lot of sales that they turned around and sold of a very, very expensive product. A cruise to Antarctica is not cheap. The ROI on that was incredible for Quark Expeditions. Timeliness. And this is something that Shane mentioned before, immediacy. Bloggers will get your message out in real time. They will tweet, they will post to Facebook, they will post blog posts on their blog from their hotel room at night while they're working with you. With press, journalists, you know you have to wait 2, 3, 4 months sometimes in order to get your coverage. Bloggers can help you react to a situation. If you are going into damage control mode for some reason because something bad has happened, you've gotten bad press, there's been an accident in your area, something is looking bad, bloggers can help you change that message very quickly in a way that traditional press cannot. Measurability. The wonderful thing about the internet is you can track basically everything that anybody does. By tracking link clicks, by using cookies in browsers, you can track who is coming from where they're going, what they're buying, how much they're spending, who they are, and you can get to know your customer very well. You can figure out who is helping you increase your sales and work more with them. You can figure out who's not helping you and stop working with them. You can figure out which strategies are working the best and which are not working. It's gotten very, very scientific. And the measurability is key to improving over time. Once you start running tests, setting benchmarks for what is working and what is not working, you can start improving and refining and improving and refining. And that is what the early adopter advantage is about. You start that before anyone else. When everyone else is just learning the things I'm telling you today, you'll be 5 steps down the road and you'll be on your 3rd test of a strategy that you're just improving and improving over time. So how it works. Bloggers use their audience to achieve your goals. Your goals is a very broad term. It really depends on what your business specifically needs at that time, but a blogger will help you put out the message that you need to their following, who will generally be, if you've chosen them right, in your target demographic, your target buyer. They're going to help you reach that person with the right message. So your goals will include improving your SEO so you can sell more products from people searching on Google, which is the way everybody buys everything. Building your own social following. You use a blogger to push their followers to your Facebook, to your Twitter, to your Instagram, to wherever you want to market to them, to your email list, so that you can capture their followers who then belong to you. And that is something that you own. You are going to want to grow your subscriber list, again, generating leads. And you're going to build more exposure for your brand to build that brand image so that you become something like, well, ideally, you want to become a Red Bull. You want to be that name that everybody in the room knows when they hear it because you threw a man out of a spaceship with a parachute. And you can change perceptions. Again, this is something I can't stress enough. If you have bad press that you're trying to deal with, bloggers are probably the fastest and easiest way to deal with that right now, today, and start changing a bad message that's out there. And of course, driving sales. We all want to drive sales. This is what we want to do with bloggers. So, step one, you have to define your goals. I can't tell you how many clients I've had who want to work with bloggers, and they come to me and say, we need a blog. I want a blog. I want to work with bloggers. I know this is important. And I say, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And they're like, I don't know. I want to work with bloggers. You have to know what you're trying to do, and it has to be specific. If you are specific in your goals, you can achieve a lot. But first, you need to know what those are. When you work with a blogger, this has been another problem. I think we've all heard a horror story about somebody working with a blogger and things going terribly wrong. Has anyone heard one of these before? You need to have, usually this is a miscommunication issue where two people have different expectations, and a lot of people start working with bloggers with a handshake. You need a clear contract and you need a clear plan, and you need to outline exactly what is going to happen in order for this to work. The blogger needs to understand what you expect, and you need to understand what the blogger expects. And a lot of this happens by email, where miscommunication is very easy. So if you're going to work with bloggers, be clear and be thorough about what you expect and what you're willing to give. Then you're going to want to vet and hire bloggers. This part gets tricky, and a lot of people are very curious about how to vet and hire the right blogger for their brand. Generally speaking, it's best to ask someone like myself or Samantha to help you, because we know how to do it very well. You're going to want to look at their following. You're going to want to make sure their following is the person who buys your product, that lives in the geographic location where the people buy your product. You're going to want to make sure that that following is engaged with that blogger and speaks with them and listens to them. All these sorts of things to make sure that they're a person who can actually change the minds of the people that you're trying to reach. And then you're going to execute that plan, and you're going to make a boatload of money, and you're going to be so happy, and send me an email saying thank you so much for that magnificent presentation. And then you're going to measure your results. This is where the measurement becomes key. And then you're going to use those measurements to analyze what worked, what didn't work, what could have been improved. And then you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it better because you use that information to improve your strategy. And then you're going to repeat it, adjust it, and you're going to continue to tinker with it and make it better and better and better until it's working very well and making you a lot of money, such as Expedia's blog, such as G Adventure's blog. Greg Hayes from Quark Expeditions. That's the company that worked with Deb and Dave. We have seen an immediate impact on direct passenger bookings by consumers referencing the exclusive promo code we established with the Planet D. He's talking about that trip that I told you to Antarctica, one of the bigger successes of the past year. Jordan has been doing a lot of work with travel bloggers. This was one of their first campaigns. In 2011, they were one of the first countries in the Middle East to bring out bloggers to visit Jordan to increase their press and their visibility. It was immediately successful, they say, and it led to Jordan being on travelers' minds, many of the top travel lists, including Condé Nast Traveler, New York Times Travel Virtuoso, and National Geographic, among others. This is one thing to note. Travel bloggers and travel influencers, especially on Twitter, the ones who are well known, we're in constant communication with the editors of many of these publications. We just sit around and talk shop online all day long. They belong to some groups on Facebook with us. We just sit around talking about the places that we go to, giving each other recommendations. The travel bloggers also influence the travel writers and the travel editors. Spud Hilton of the San Francisco Chronicle, their travel editor, one of the biggest travel sections in America, is an avid visitor of travel blogger conferences, hangs out with travel bloggers all of the time. So vetting bloggers. There is no formula for vetting the right blogger. There is no formula for what's a great blogger. The best blogger depends on who is the best blogger for your company. And that's a very case-by-case thing. This is why it's something that needs specific attention. You want the blogger that aligns with your brand. You want somebody who you're going to like working with. You want somebody who understands your customers' needs and who has been addressing those needs through their blog. So this is a very case-by-case thing. Please, you don't want to go out just looking for a blogger that has a huge audience and a whole bunch of people on Facebook or whatever. That's generally useless. 8 million followers is nothing if they're all the wrong followers. If all those are 16-year-olds in Brooklyn, New York, none of them are buying whatever you're selling. You need the blogger who's reaching the right people. It's the right numbers, not the big numbers. So you want brand alignment. You want an audience match. You want to see audience engagement. Again, bigger number of followers does not necessarily mean anything. You can buy them, it can be faked. You want to see how many people are actually engaging with that blogger. That's the number you look at. You look at Facebook likes, you look at Facebook comments, you look at retweets, you look at conversations, you look at comments on blog posts, Facebook shares, Twitter shares, all of that stuff show what the quality level is. You look at experience and professionalism. You want somebody who you know is just going to deliver whatever it is that you're asking them for. If you're making a contract, you want to know someone's going to do a good job and they're going to do it on time. So you want somebody who has some experience. You want somebody who you know is going to do a good job. And last, you want to look at their audience size, but I made that deliberately smaller than the rest because it's the first thing everybody thinks about, but it's the last thing that matters. If you take away one thing, please remember, it's the right numbers, not the big numbers. If one person has 10 followers and all 10 followers buy your product, that's better than a guy with 10,000 followers who only sells 2 of your product. So the PTBA, the Professional Travel Bloggers Association, we're a membership-driven organization, and we have created a search engine of our members for the purpose of vetting appropriate professional bloggers. This search engine will enable you to look at a blogger's following on Facebook, on Twitter. You will be able to see their Google Analytics. You will be able to see a general breakdown of where their audience lives. These are the key things that you need in order to vet a blogger and make sure that they line up with your brand. You're also going to see a description of their blog. You're going to see references to jobs that they've done in the past with other brands, so you can look at their work from other campaigns. This we made for you so that you don't have to go through all the trouble of finding bad bloggers and messing with all these conversations, asking them to send you analytics reports and case studies. We've put it all in one place, and you can type in some keywords and you can search for what you want. So you're going to find a niche. I'm personally an adventure travel blogger. Like Shane mentioned before, we have food-focused bloggers, we have family-focused bloggers, we have gay and lesbian travel bloggers. There are bloggers for every niche. So you're going to want the blogger that fits, well, your niche. If you're selling adventure travel tours, you're going to want an adventure travel blogger. If you're selling a food tour, you're going to want a food blogger. Then you're going to look at their audience by country. Make sure that their audience is in the country that's buying your tours or your trips or your flights or whatever it is that you happen to be selling. You're going to be able to look at their social network following numbers. You're not going to be able to look at which country they come from, but you will be able to generally assume it's going to be similar to their traffic. And you're going to be able to see the list of their experience, their professionalism, things that they've done in the past. So the next steps that you will want to undertake if you are thinking about working with bloggers is consider your goals. Do you want to build your email list? Do you want to improve your SEO? Those are 2 very different goals. You can do both at the same time, but it helps to focus on one thing at a time. Do you want to work on your website and build a blog? Do you want to work to improve your blog or bring more followers to your blog? Or do you want to work off-site with bloggers to get those recommendations out there on the internet for people to find? Consider these things. Third, do a free consultation. Come take one of my cards and give me a call, and I do free consultations in order to help people understand better how they can work with bloggers. Of course, I also offer paid, more specific services. But if you have questions, you want to know what you're going to do next, just give me a call, send me an email, or make an appointment with me after the conference, and we'll get together and we'll just talk about it and figure out what you can do if you can afford it, if it's right for you. I'm not going to tell you to work with bloggers if it's not what you need to do. So if you want a free consultation, please take out your phone, take a picture. Oh, my phone number didn't save. Or take a business card up here and give me an email after, or just come up and talk to me. And if you have any questions, do we have time for a few questions? Does anyone have any questions? It is 2 o'clock, just in case anyone has to run away.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for the session. A few questions I would like to ask you. How often a professional travel blogger should post a blog? How often? Once a day, once a week, once a month? What is a healthy frequency?
Are you thinking for your own blog or for
No,
a...
in case if I pursue to be a professional travel blogger.
It varies. There is no right answer to that. Some bloggers post once a month. Some post 4 times a day.
Okay.
That really is not... That works differently for different people. Different things work for different people to build their audience. What is key is that when that blogger posts, people like it, and their audience is engaged with it, that they're sharing it on Facebook and Twitter, that they're commenting on it and engaging with the blogger, and you can see that people are interested in it. How many times? Not such an important thing as how much they're impacting the people who are reading it.
Thank you. And is there any set parameter that how many words or characters should be used in a blog so that it becomes successful? I mean,
yeah, well, there's studies done on this, yes.
Yes.
Traditionally, the people would say about 500 as a minimum for SEO
words.
purposes to, please Google, make sure that Google's happy with you. But they've been finding more and more right now. Recently, the most recent studies have found that long blog posts, over 1,000 words, up to 1,500 words, are the ones that are shared the most on social media. So those are the ones that are making the most impact on people. Those are longer reads that go in depth into subjects and are really examining them, whatever that subject happens to be. Those are the ones that are tending to be the most popular.
And can you enlighten us on the pictures, number of pictures, or the length of video also on the blog?
Sorry, what was the question?
The way you told that the number of words is around 1,000, so it becomes more successful. How about the number of pictures we use or the length of video?
That really depends, again, on what the content is. The way you deliver the content should be appropriate to the content. A long think piece editorial type article is not going to need any pictures because it's a focus on the text. So generally speaking, you want at least one nice picture, usually at the top at least. That's a nice thing. If you do video, short videos tend to be good for popularity because people don't want to watch a 15-minute video. They want to watch a 2-minute video. Under 2 minutes is generally good for video. But again, this in the end comes down to making sure that what you're doing is just appropriate to the message that you're sending. You can make a 2-hour movie. People do it. People make 6-hour movies that win Oscar awards. So it's as long as the medium you're using is appropriate to the message that you're sending. That's the most important part. These are general guidelines for what's worked. Most important is just to do it well. How do I charge for a blog? By blog, you mean a blog post? For one blog post? Me personally? Again, It's from $5 up to $500. Say for one blog post, if you were going to pay a blogger to write a post, you can go hire somebody for $5. You can go up as high as $500, $800, and the price that you pay is going to generally reflect the quality, generally speaking. Same as any profession. You're going to get a better quality if you pay more for a professional. Any more questions?
Blog themselves. Some people are better at it than others, but can your company also provide guidance in looking at our blogs and give us some advice on, well, maybe next time you should focus more on certain areas?
Sure. Oh, the question was, can we give feedback on blogs and advice for how to improve? And yes, absolutely. If you want some criticism, some critiquing of your blog to improve it, I can absolutely do that.